Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back to my home. Welcome back to my apartment. Welcome back for another episode of BretFlix. This is actually going to be a little different. I'm coming at you with something a little different today. It is not just like another hey, watch this on Netflix episode. So this isn't like BretFlix episode 3, 4, or even 5 or anything like that. This is kind of like a side project, something I've had an idea on for a while. This is going to be a top 5 video. I figure if I have another kind of outlet where I could talk about movies that aren't just on Netflix, I'll probably feel more satisfied as a film lover. So what I'm going to do today is kind of calm me down. I mean, I know this isn't BretFlix. I know this isn't regular BretFlix, the BretFlix you're used to. But it's okay, I'm still the same guy, we're in the same place. You know, I'm now shooting in my bedroom for some reason. That's really the only difference. You know, I still have my Shack soda, just in case I need it. So it's still me, you're still you, don't freak out. Just come on this journey with me I want to give you my top 5 favorite films of the 50s. And this is something I hope to kind of do as like a little mini-series or something, like do the 50s. Next time I do a top 5 video, I want to do the 60s and then the 70s and so on until we get to modern day. So, I'm going to give you my top 5 films of the 50s. I'm going to cheat a little bit, actually, because, where was the other one? Because when I was making my list, I made a huge list of like all my favorite movies of the decade, of the 50s decade, and I was able to narrow it down to just 5, but there was one I had to throw in there, and I figured I would include it in with the Bergman film I talk about, because one of the films I was going to put on my list was Ingmar Bergman's Wild Strawberries from 1957. Now I had to also include Ingmar Bergman's Summer Interlude. This is kind of the bonus one, so I actually will be kind of briefly talking about 6 movies, not 5. It's my own rules. I can break them if I want to. I had to include Summer Interlude simply because I forgot to say Summer Interlude is from 1951, so it's still the 50s. I had to include Summer Interlude just because it's simply one of my all-time favorite movies. I don't know if it's like one of the best movies of the 50s or whatever, but it's just a personal favorite of mine. It's one of those movies, you know, where like you see it, you think the movie was meant to be made for you or something like that. It's one of those kind of, you know, sappy sort of movies for me. It's one that's like, oh man, this movie understands me better than I understand myself, and I cry the whole time. So real quick, as a little bonus, I guess I'll give you my top 6, whatever. Summer Interlude from 1951. It is about a woman who remembers a romance that she had from years ago that only lasted during the summer, and that's basically about it. She gets this diary, and she reads through the diary, and the diary is all about this romance that she had, and so she remembers that time. And you know, at first it's hard for her, and then she remembers the fond stuff, and then she's able to kind of come to peace with now it's over, and she's much wiser now, and she's moved on to a better, more mature relationship and all this stuff. I hope that doesn't. I hope I'm not giving you any sort of insight into into me as far as my relationships have gone. But Summer Interlude, this is a great movie. It's really beautifully shot by Gunnar Fishman. I don't know how to say the guy's name. I hope I got that correct as well, because Bergman's always basically worked with like 2 cinematographers his whole career, and I always mix them up because they're both so brilliant. They're both so good. This movie's really beautifully shot, and it's very poetic, and there's a lot of Bergman's main fetishes in there. I mean, you watch this, it instantly feels like a Bergman movie. And it's kind of, I believe this is like his first real masterpiece too. I mean, a man who made a lot of great movies. He even made some really good movies before this too. But this was like the first film like in the chronology of Bergman movies where I felt like he nailed it. Like, there was one movie he made earlier than this, which is actually kind of similar, called To Joy. At least that's the American title. And that one came close, but was still pretty messy, still pretty sloppy. He's still trying to learn how he makes movies. This is when he finally, I feel like, he came like full form and made a great movie. So that's the bonus. But then the official pick, I guess I'll give it number 5. One thing I should say is that also this top 5 list is in no particular order. I did say my favorite for the last though. Sorry, I got my whole bed is just like riddled with a bunch of crap. Making sure I have everything organized. But yeah, so the official pick is Bergman's Wild Strawberries from 1957. This movie stars actually a director that Bergman really adores, named, I can't pronounce the name, it's a Swedish name, I'm sorry, but Victor Sjöström. That's probably wrong. He made a movie, a really great movie called The Phantom Carriage. So he's a director Bergman admires, and he's also acted in a few Bergman movies. I want to say he was in that To Joy movie I mentioned earlier. But this is just also just a great movie. It's a great movie about memory and kind of rediscovering, you know, why you're who you are. It's a very poetic film. It's a beautiful film. Also, really well shot. That's kind of one of my main draws to Bergman movies is they are just like perfectly shot. Everything about it, like photography wise, the compositions, everything is just so precise. And just flawless. Like all of his movies look fantastic. Well, not all of them, but I mean for the most part they all look fantastic. This was, you know, this is the kind of movie that's gonna make you cry a lot, or at least that's just me because I'm kind of a wuss. But it's one worth checking out. I don't know if you want to pick up the Criterion Blu-ray or not. I think it's worth it. Real quick, while I'm still on the topic. While I mentioned Criterion Blu-rays, every once in a while, like Criterion's great. Like I'm a big collector of Criterion, but every once in a while they will release a movie that is almost not even worth your money. I don't really mean that exactly because I am glad I bought this and I would not buy it. But there are 0 features in this. What the hell, Criterion? This one's packed. This one has all kinds of good stuff. It has commentaries. Has introduction by Bergman himself. Like this is packed with features. This has 0 features. What's the deal? You couldn't get anybody to talk about this thing? You couldn't at least get a commentary by a critic or something? Like what's the deal? I'll do a commentary. I'll do it for free. I have a lot to say about this movie. You know, it's just a shame. Every once in a while they just release some bare bones movie. I don't know why. It drives me nuts. But anyway, so there's that. Summer Interlude, Wild Strawberries, 2 of Bergman's best movies. Check them out. Alright, number 4 on my list. Number 4 on my list is called The Ballad of Narayama. This is also another Criterion Blu-ray that I own. There's actually every single movie I talk about on this list is a Criterion except for the first one. I guess I have to admit, if it weren't for Criterion, I wouldn't have been exposed to a lot of movies this early on. So I guess I really have them to thank for that. But yeah, this movie's called The Ballad of Narayama. It's from 1958. It's a unique movie. I have not seen a movie like this ever before. It is a kabuki styled movie. Now I don't really know what that means, so I'm not gonna comment a whole lot on it. For me being the dumb American that I am, this movie reminds me a lot of early Hollywood movies that are shot on these big sets and stuff, and like they're so clearly, like the sets are so clearly fake, but that's kind of part of the style, like it's intentional, and that's how this movie's made. Like it's a movie about a guy who's taking his mother or grandmother, it's been a little while since I've seen this, but his mother or grandmother up to the top of a mountain for her to die, because I guess that's just part of the culture for these people. And the whole thing is, like I said, is shot on obviously fake synthetic sets, and it looks amazing. That is kind of my main draw to this movie too. I mean, I love visuals. I love great visuals, and visually, this movie is just, from the very first frame, it's incredible. I mean, especially when they get up the mountain and you see the snow and all the trees and blah 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 blah. It's a very poetic movie, and it's a very sad movie. Again, I did cry, but that's just me. Everything makes me cry. And it is unlike any other movie I've ever seen. It kind of has like this bittersweet ending. You know, the old lady, she knows she's gonna die and she accepts her fate, and it's sad, but that's just her role in society or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking. It's I don't recommend it if you're gonna, you know, if you're looking to have like a really good time. I mean, unless you're just gonna watch like sections of this movie and just admire how beautiful the images in it are. And again, directed by someone who I will probably never be able to pronounce their name, Kaisuke Kinoshita. That's probably completely false. I've never seen another movie from this man, but I would really love to check out his filmography and see more from him. So this is my number 4 pick for my favorite movie of the 50s, The Ballad of Narayama, 1958. It's a great movie. Or on pick number 3. This movie comes from 1950. It is Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon. This is one of those movies, it's a little hard to comment on because it's like one of those like just undeniable masterpieces. Like everyone agrees it's one of the best movies ever. So there's tons of essays online you could find of people just picking this movie apart and telling you how it's the best thing ever. Everyone agrees it's one of Kurosawa's best. You know, everyone says it's like, I've even seen some people like prefer this over something like Seven Samurai, which you can tell I'm doing the same thing because Seven Samurai is also from the 50s, and I picked this one. I picked Rashomon. Rashomon, it is about, it stars Kurosawa regular Mifune, and it's about, I guess, perception. It's perception of the truth, and everyone perceives it differently. Everyone, you know, it's a movie where basically you get a group of people together, and each person is recounting the exact same event, but they are all recounting it entirely differently, and you don't know who to believe. You know, and this kind of taps into something I believe about the world, and you know, we're all presented the same facts and stuff, and it just kind of depends on how we choose to interpret them. And that's how you get your beliefs on the world, and for me, that's kind of what this movie's about. I don't know if I'm reading something into it that's a little personal that is not intended at all, but for me, that's definitely what this movie's about. It's just about, you know, we all see the same truths, but we all see them differently. So each person tells their version of the story, and you don't know who to believe, and everyone's just as convincing, and it's kind of a struggle. It's a really challenging movie because of that. And there's two characters in the movie that really have kind of a personal crisis just because of that fact, where they don't know who to believe and everything. And it's like, oh, well, what's life all about and all that crap. Yes, so this is a really challenging movie, and for people who love to be challenged very intellectually, this is kind of the movie for you. So Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon is one of his absolute best from 1950. Love it. Moving on to my second choice. We're almost done. If you're with me this far, please bear with me a little bit further. Very close to being finished. My number 2 pick is from the master, is from the ultimate master, Stanley Kubrick. I picked Paths of Glory, starring Kirk Douglas, from 1957. I'm a big Kubrick fan. Everybody is. You know, who doesn't love 2001 and The Clockwork Orange and The Shining? I particularly love this movie because it kind of goes against what Kubrick normally does. Like what Kubrick is kind of known for is like his emotional detachment from the material that he's presenting. You know, that's why, and you know, some of the time that works, some of the time it really doesn't. That's kind of why I struggle a lot with his film Full Metal Jacket, because you're presented with some powerful images and some powerful sequences, but because of how he shoots them and how he feels kind of indifferent to them. It's hard to really feel the full effect of it. But this movie, Paths of Glory, is really different. Its main theme basically is like, you know, PTSD and you know, soldiers, you know, the effect that war has on its soldiers and stuff like that. And it takes place during a time where PTSD wasn't really believed to be a thing, and it was mostly just believed you know, the soldiers were being just wussies, and you know, that they just needed to man up and get back out there, so that it wasn't really recognized as a serious condition. But then, you know, Kirk Douglas, he like stands up for these soldiers and is like, no, this is real. And it is the only Kubrick movie where I actually get emotionally involved. It's the only Kubrick movie where I feel like it's hitting me on a very deep personal level. Like, you know, you're obviously not going to get something like that from like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I mean, the movie might be like awesome, and you could watch and be like, whoa, this is incredible. But you're not gonna like walk away feeling like a better person or anything like that. This is one of those movies where it's like you feel like you're a better person since you've seen it. I also really want to praise Kubrick's very dynamic filmmaking in this movie. Because a lot of this movie is just dialogue. A lot of this movie is people inside talking with each other. And he always finds a way to keep it very visually interesting. The way he blocks his actors and he blocks his cameras around them, and the way he structures his scenes, it reminds me a lot of like what Spielberg's been doing lately with his dramas. Like, you know, he hasn't been making a whole lot of action movies, but he's been making really intimate dramas. Like he made Lincoln and then Bridge of Spies recently, and those are just people sitting in rooms talking, and Spielberg finds very interesting visual ways to tell that. And you know, it's not just over the shoulders or anything like that. He moves his cameras here, he goes from a one shot to a two shot, and he cuts over, you know, just real complicated stuff. And I feel like when I see those recent Spielberg films, I feel like he's coming directly from Paths of Glory. That's exactly what I'm reminded of. So it's like kind of as a wannabe filmmaker, like I watch this movie and I'm just like in awe. Like I'm like, dude, how does someone like make something like this? This is incredible. You know, to make something so interesting from the filmmaking aspect and so emotionally powerful from just like a dramatic aspect. This is I feel one of Kubrick's best movies. It's I don't know if I'd like call it my favorite of his. I don't know what I'd call my favorite of his, actually. I don't know if maybe not Doctor Strange, maybe The Shining or Barry Lyndon or something, I don't know, but this is up there. This is up there, and for people who love Kubrick, this is kind of one I don't feel enough people talk about. Everyone usually talks about Doctor Strangelove and on, and this predates Doctor Strangelove. This predates Spartacus. So, Paths of Glory from 1957, one of my favorite movies of the 50s. Now for my number one pick. Like I said earlier, these movies are in no particular order. I'm not like saying like, oh, I like Paths of Glory more than Rashomon. I'm not really trying to say that. But I did save my absolute favorite for last. This movie isn't just one of my favorite of the 50s. This is like one of my favorites of all time. I would put this in like my top 10 favorite movies list. And for film buffs out there, when you see this, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's no surprise. In fact, you may have already guessed it by now. Is Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. Now I have to be really careful with this because the case is broken, and so disc 2 flops about quite a bit. And the fact disc 2 is not even in here right now, and I don't know why. That really concerns me. I have no idea where it is. Maybe it fell out and it's on the shelf. That kind of makes me a little angry. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I need to finish this up. Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo from 1958, I believe. Yes, 1958. I was correct. It's a newer DVD, so I'm seeing things like 96 and 86 on here. So, yes. Anyway, again, what can you say about this movie? According to Sight and Sound, this is the greatest movie of all time, even better than Citizen Kane. I do like this movie more than Citizen Kane. I don't know if it's better than Citizen Kane or anything like that. but I don't really have anything interesting to say about this that you couldn't hear from anybody else. This movie is very hypnotic. It's very gripping. James Stewart gives an incredible performance, especially towards the end of the movie when he's dragging Kim Novak up the stairs and he's screaming at her and yelling and stuff. When he's figured out what finally has been going on this whole time, he's truly frightening in those moments. Oh hey, look, I said hypnotic and it says hypnotic right here. I didn't even see that. Again, see, like I'm saying, I don't feel like I have anything to say that hasn't already been said about this a million times. Except for the fact that I won't really comment on it a lot right now. Maybe I'll make a whole separate video about it sometime. But I do believe that the second half of this movie takes place entirely in James Stewart's head. That's something I haven't seen anybody say. Maybe that is a popular interpretation of this movie or something. I don't know, but I haven't heard anybody mention that. But yeah, I think the entire second half of this movie doesn't actually happen. So this is like I said, favorite movie of the 50s. It's my favorite Hitchcock movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, so I hope. Yeah, so I'll real quick. I'll give you that. It's Vertigo, from 1958. Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece, as it says up there. So real quick, allow me to recap the movies I talked about. So yes, I talked about Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo from 1958, Paths of Glory, Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory, 1957, Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon from 1950, Kaisuke Kinoshita, I'm probably saying that wrong, The Ballad of Narayama, 1958, Ingmar Bergman's Wild Strawberries, and Ingmar Bergman's Summer Interlude, Strawberries from 57, Summer Interlude from 51. So I like that my first top 5 video features 6 films. I find that interesting. So yes, those are my favorite of the 50s. I guess it's gonna be my usual sign off. Just tell me what you think. Did I introduce you to a movie that you never heard of or never seen? Do you like my picks? Do you think I'm forgetting something? I mean, obviously there's some choices I'm forgetting. I mean, some really obvious ones. I even wrote some down, like The Seventh Seal, kind of go back to Bergman again, and Seventh Samurai. So if you agree, disagree, let me know. Comment, message, do whatever you gotta do. Like and subscribe this video, please. Any support I can get from you is greatly appreciated. I wish I could pay you $1 million every time you do something that helps me out. Sadly, I cannot, but that would be my intention if I had the means to. So I'll see you guys later. This is BretFlix signing off. I'll see you guys probably in another top 5 video or in a BretFlix video.